Welcome to presentation of Group 1. We present the all about globalization and why it's important to study this lesson.
Good day, everyone. We are the Group 1 for today's discussion. We are about tackle globalization. Globalization is a term used to describe how trade and technology have made the world into independent states. The Group 5 have 5 members, and I'm the first to start this presentation. My name is John Leonard Aldeanoso, and the name of other members is Raymart Abala, Dennis Cachenza, John Lubert Lakap, and the last one, Mark Joshua Torreda. So let's start this lesson.
The term Global South collectively applies to Latin America, Europe, Africa, and Oceania, like Third World, and periphery, it pertains to areas beyond Europe and North America that are predominantly although to all, low income and occasionally economically or culturally disadvantaged. The usage of term Global South indicates a change from a dominant emphasis on growth of culture identity with a focus on its international ties.
What is the Global South? The Global South is generally understood to refer to less economically developed countries. It is a broad term that comprises a variety of states with diverse levels of economic, cultural, and political influence in the international order. West the Global South is poor. These countries lack resources that are essential for it to develop at the same rate as others. Unfortunately, countries in the Global South suffer from poverty, lack of human rights, and the depletion at the abuse of natural resources.
The term Third World was contained in 1952 by the French historian Alfred Sauvy. He compared Third World to the Third Estate. The Third World as a phrase also achieved acceptance because it gave a clear image to the developing countries in terms of political alignment and economic status. Although ruled by European colonized, Third World citizens live far from global economic, political, and military power.
What is third world country? Third world is an updated and derogatory phrase that has been used historically to describe a class of economically developing nation. Today, preferred terminology is a developing nation, an underdeveloped countries or low a middle income country. What are the first and second third countries? The first world consisted of the US, Western Europe, and their allies. The second world was the so-called communist bloc, the Soviet Union, China, Cuba, and France. The remaining nations, which aligned with neither group, were assigned to the third world, as always has blurred lines.
A significant portion of Latin America can be classified as a part of Global South. Most of these countries have been characterized by a relationship of dependency to northern states. At one point in their individual histories, Latin American countries have been subjected to colonial rule and adopted their colonizers language, culture, religion, and economic and political systems. After these countries attained political independence, they remained economically dependent to their former colonies.
How does globalization affect Latin American culture? Many citizens of Latin America over time since globalization has begun to affect the countries believe their country in becoming fragmented and their values lost, an increased number of immigrants bring new customs, and international trade and communication penetrate all corners and country and displace the local. How does globalization affect Latin America? However, due to globalization, Latin American countries can access better and cheaper industrial and consumer products compared to those produced at home, which leads this nation to depend more on exporting energy and primary products in exchange and economic growth, and maintaining the European-style welfare system. The topic of global South Third World country and Latin American comes to close here. Thank you.
good morning classmate. Once again, ako nga po pala si Raymart Navalia at nandito po ako ngayon para ibahagi sa inyo ang aking kalaman patungkol sa globalization at regionalization at kung ano ang mga layunin nito sa ating bansa. So, ano nga ba ang regionalization at globalization?
Globalization and regionalization are contradictory units because of their different goal in several cases, may be the same while they may vary in others. These processes form new institutions in a global economic space that determine the behavior of macroeconomic. Thus, transplantation of institutions occurs in most developed countries, which causes a solid socio-economic dependence of recipient countries, hinders their development, enhances the technical economic their underdevelopment, reduces welfare and increases economic and political risks.
Globalization at regionalization. Ito ay ang magkasalungat na unit dahil sa kanilang mga goal in their several cases. Sa kabilang banda naman, pwede rin raw itong magkakapareho depende habang ito ay maaaring mag-iba-iba. Na ang mga prosesong ito ang mga bumubuo ng bagong institusyon sa panibagong espasyo pang-ekonomiya na tumutukoy sa pag-uugali o behavior ng macroeconomic. So ano nga ba ang macroeconomic? Sino na nabanggit na bahayag? Ang macroeconomic ay isang sangay ng ekonomiya na tumatalakay sa performance, pag-uugali at paggawa ng desisyon ng isang ekonomiya. Halimbawa, yung mga taxes na binibigay natin sa gobyerno, yun yung ginagamit nilang pondo para sa pagpapagawa ng mga silang kalsada, pagpapagawa ng tulay, na lahat tayo ay nakikinabang.
So, hi guys! Now we are talking about globalization. What is globalization? It is the process of interaction and integration among people, companies, and governments worldwide. And since the 18th century is accelerated through advances transportation and communication technology, this increase in global interaction has caused a growth in international trade and exchange of ideas, beliefs, and culture, and this is the primarily an economic process of interaction and integration that is associated with the social and cultural aspect. Ang globalization ay nangyayari sa dalawang bansa o dalawang ekonomiya tungo sa mas maunlad na integrasyon ng bawat isa.
Ito ay nilalayong maging isang bagay na pangkalahatan, kompleto at pang-universal.
Regionalization. Regionalization is defined as an increase in the cross-border flow of capital goods and people within the specific geographical area. In contrast, regionalism is defined as a political will to create a formal arrangement among states of geographically restricted basis.
The process of dividing an area into smaller segments called regions. One of the more obvious examples of regionalization is the division of a nation into states or provinces. Ang regionalization ay ang paggalaw o pakikipagkalakalan ng bawat bayan at probinsya sa isang nasyon na ang layunin nito ay upang mapaunlad o mas makilala ang kanilang lugar sa pamamagitan ng pagkilala sa kanilang mga produkto. Tulad nilang ng, halimbawa, Marikina. Nakilala ang Marikina sa paggawa ng sapatos at tsinelas dahil sa pagtangkilik ng kanilang produkto. So now, let us now proceed to Asian regionalism.
Regionalism is seen as a venue where the state is weakened or strengthened. It can serve as a barrier or a bridge to greater cooperation, coordination, and interdependence. Given that most Asian countries, including those in the Southeast region, belong to the Global South, we should study how culturally diverse but economically similar nation-states are affected by regionalization.
Ang regionalism ay nakikita bilang isang lugar kung saan ang estado ay humihina o lumalakas. Maaari itong magsilbing hadlang o tulay sa higit na pagkakaisa, koordinasyon at pagtutulungan, especially the most Asian country. Kasama din dito ang iba pang mga bansa sa Southeast region na nabibilang sa Global South, na alam naman natin lahat kung ano ang kalagayan ng mga bansa na nabibilang sa Global South. dapat natin pag-aralan kung paano maapektuhan ng regionalism ang magkakaibang kultura ngunit magkakatulad na ekonomiya ng nation-state. 1968, kung kailan ang ASEAN ay naitanyag na meron pa lamang 5 orihinal na membro, Thailand, Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia at Singapore, na sa paglipas ng panahon ay unti-unti na itong lumawak na sinalayan na ng Brunei noong 1984 after the independence from Britain, 1995, Vietnam, Laos and Burma noong 1997 at Cambodia noong 1999. There are the several factors that are leading in the Asian region into greater integration. First, trade. The world economy is intertwined and interdependent with each other. Global trade facilitates and harmonizes the exchanges of goods and services between countries in the world. Second, similar culture. The cultures of Asia are diverse, but they share many similarities. The phenomenon makes integration an easier fit during times of negotiation. And third, shared goals. The Asian region recognizes the mutual benefit of slow integration. The territories involved have common interests and close to each other. The workforce of its population can serve as a powerful negotiating bloc against those from other parts of the world. And that would be the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Global media. Globalization involves the flow of ideas, people, practices, knowledge, and culture across international boundaries. Mass media has become an indelible feature of societal advance and means through which these advances are experienced by people worldwide. Media is also considered as a location where social practices and customs are realized and recorded.
Good day, everyone. My name is John Leonel Elianoso and I will present the week 9. This is all about global media, and we have 3 types of media. This is the mass media, traditional media, and the new media. First, mass media refers to different forms of technology used in transmitting message, ideas, and opinions to large and diverse group of people from various places. At present, mass media is categorized into traditional and new media. The example of mass media are newspaper, magazine articles, published photographs, recording of television and radio broadcasts, and others. And the second is traditional media. Traditional media refer to conventional means of mass communication as practiced by various global communities and cultures from ancient times. Folk media are some of the most vibrant representation of traditional media because they reflect communication. And the example of traditional media are television advertisement, radio advertisement, print advertisement, and others. And the last one is new media. New media is any media from newspaper articles and blogs to music and broadcasts that are delivered digitally. New media doesn't necessarily refer to a specific mode of communication. The example of new media is website, blogs, email, social media networks, music and television, and others.
Media culture. However, media significance is no longer confined to the role of relaying information, message, or knowledge. Stevenson explained that much of modern culture is transmitted by the media or mass communication.
What is oral communication? Oral communication is the oldest and most widely used medium of communication. It can take place differently forms such as speech, face-to-face conversation, interview, meeting, etc. What is script? Lull considered this crucial for globalization and culture. Lull argues that oral speech is imperfect. What is printing press? The printing press is a device that allows for the mass production of uniform printed matter, mainly text in the form of books, pamphlets, and newspaper. What is electronic media? Electronic media are media use electronics or electromechanical means for the audience to access the content. The example of electronic media are television, radio, and internet, fax, and others. Digital media. Digital media are electronic media that rely on digital codes. The most evident manifestation of digital media today is the computer and the smartphone. The example of digital media are software, digital image, digital video games, website, and others.
Global media and global integration. The state as primary territorial unit organizing important social life aspects has become much weaker and possibly imponent. Media globalization is a broad topic including television, radio, film, music, the internet, and other digital media forms. Dominic note the product rate of information doubles every 8 years.
Media globalization. As the name suggests, media globalization is the worldwide integration of media through the across-cultural exchange of ideas, while technological globalization refers to across-cultural development and exchange of technology. Global integration. Global integration is the degree to which the company is able to use the same products and methods in the other countries. Local responsiveness is the degree to which the company must customize their products and methods to meet conditions in other countries. Dynamic between local and global cultural production. Globalization is often considered a negative imperialistic force that kills local identities. At the same time, globalization is occasionally seen as a positive force. The intensity of the global-local dynamic has been felt in action around the meetings of some of the most prominent international bodies. During World War II, we saw the spread of global culture competing with the replacing parts of local culture. At the same time, a global layer emerged, the amalgamation of local habits and custom from various based culture is not statistic but dynamic because it's the product of reflection, necessities, and discoveries. And it's the end of lesson. Thank you.
Is an important facet of social existence. It is the belief of something and where it exists. Also, it is the before-time origin of truths. According to Clifford Geertz, an American anthropologist, religion is the system that acts to establish power. Religion are always connected to each other. Globalization has been concluded to economics and political interdependent, while religion are more self-conscious of themselves. There is always a conflict between the two because some people do not take new realities and turn to religion to discover their own identity. Lasting effect of early Islam. After the death of Prophet Muhammad, Islam spread across the Arabian Peninsula. During the Muslim dynastics held power under the religious mandate in the early 14th century, Islam arrived in the Philippines and introduced to the Mindanao where it has a sophisticated system government known as Sultanate. The Islamization was followed centuries later by Christianization. The native population spiritual guided by Babylonians. Babylonians were the shamans of the various ethnic groups of the pre-colonial Philippines, and then the Christianization occurs the native population were changed according to Catholic because of his charges. Religion and beliefs and practices. Culturally, Philippine society is a manifestation of globalization. Filipino religious aspects was mostly influence of Islam and Christianity. 85% of the population is Roman Catholic. One product of Christianity is the Christmas season. More Filipino media, such as television shows, etc., play music, jingles related to Christmas. Catholicism has direct and indirect influence that have altered the culture and ways of life of global conflict. No major religion has been exempted from complicity in violent conflict. However, we need to be continuous of universal property to overpricing the role religion plays in international of the global conflict resolution with the non-violent process to educate was peace important because it provides the nation development and collaboration for the common good of our. It also enable for people to visit every country with fear of violence.
Magandang araw at magandang buhay mga kamag-aral sa ating magigiting na guro. Ako nga po pala si Jason Vicina na magbabahagi ng aking mga natutunan sa Global City. The Global City in realist theory international affairs are conducted only through the state because the state is the only legitimate actor in the international system. In the previous chapters, we have discussed how the state controls the flow of good capital, resources, and people and the regulation of international or cross-border activities within the interstate system. However, in liberalist theory explanation of the process of globalization, the state is no longer the central actor and is analyzed not as a single unitary actor but as an entity considered as the national whole composed of subnational parts. Ang Global City daw ay isang urban center na nagtatamasa ng makabuluhang competitive advantage at nagsisilbing sentro sa loob ng globalized economic system. Characteristic attributes of Global City. Global cities are characterized by specific attributes shared by wealthy and politically powerful cities all over the world. This characteristic may have slight variation due to cultural difference, but this is true for all global cities. Various criteria have been developed to determine what the global city is. A global city, also called the Power City, World City, Alpha City, is a city which is a primary node in the global economic network. Ang global city daw ay isang urban center na nagtatamasa ng makabuluhang competitive advantage at nagsisilbing sentro sa loob ng globalized economic system. Business activity. Various business and economic activities hosted by a global city, several multinational company headquarters such as McDonald's and Starbucks, global services, firms or organizations whose primary business model is to offer intangible value instead of tangible products such as IT firms, educational institutions, and consulting firms. International financial institutions such as the World Bank, Stock Exchange for facilities where traders or brokers can buy and sell securities as shares of stock and other financial instruments. International conference, sea and airports to facilities the transport of goods and people. Dito makikita mo ang iba't ibang negosyo, mga big business o big company tulad ng mga sikat na produkto. Halimbawa na lang na McDonald's, Starbucks at iba pang malalaking kumpanya. Makikita rin dito ang mga mabibilis na transportasyon, pandagat at panghimpapawid. Human capital. Facilities that could help produce a highly literate and educated population residing in the city. Size of the foreign-born population, quality of university, number of international schools, international student population, number of resident with college degree. Dito makikita ang mga international school, quality of university, mga university na dinadayo ng mga taga-ibang bansa para mag-aral, mga populasyon ng mga taong may high knowledge, ang mga edukado. Information exchange, availability of information and communication technologies and facilities hosted by city, major TV channels, internet accessibility, number of international news bureaus, censorship, broadband subscriber rate. Cultural experience, event and facilities that enable visitors and residents to experience the city unique culture. Museum, sporting events, visual and performing arts venue like concert, dance shows, music festival. Culinary offering and establishment, international travelers, sister city relationship. Ito man ang mga facilities na nagbibigay o dahilan upang masaksihan ang mga kultura ng isang lungsod tulad ng museum, sporting event, dance show, music festival, at iba pa. Political engagement. Several establishments and organizations that hold significant authority and influence in local and global affairs. Embassies and consulate, think tanks, international organizations such as the United Nations, World Health Organization, and the World Trade Organization, and also political conference and meetings. Ito naman ang mga may impluwensyang organisasyon sa local at global affairs. Mga international na organisasyon tulad ng United Nations, World Health Organization, World Trade Organization, at iba pa. How do cities serve as the engines of globalization? Cities are the engine of globalization. They are social magnets growing faster and faster. In the current generation, urban life has become the domination forms of human life throughout the world. The problem generated by the present rate of the urban growth are new and cannot be solved based on the past lesson. Our historical urban institutions are not adapting fast enough to the pace of growth. How do cities serve as an engine of globalization? Nagsisilbing engine ng globalization ang mga city dahil dito nabubuo ang urban city o proseso kung paano madedevelop ang isang lungsod. At dito nagtatagpo ang mga bigating consumer at mga bigating kumpanya. Dahil sa dami ng consumer, nangangailangan ang mga kumpanya na gumawa ng mga tao, ng mga manggagawa, na gumawa ng produkto. Minsan, nag-aangkat sila ng produkto sa ibang bansa dahil sa kakulangan ng supply o sa kadahilan ng madami ang kanilang mga consumer. Pero madalas silang nag-e-export ng kanilang produkto kaya lumalaki at dumadami ang kanilang source of income.